Call in order of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Education and Outreach and Training Committee regular meeting Thursday, February 10th, 2011 at 5 p.m. Administrator, call the row.
Chair Chan,
Present.
Member Mana, a member absent, a member Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, there is a quorum of the committee.
Okay, let's call item number 1.
Item 1, adoption of December 9th, 2010 regular minutes.
Colleagues, if you have any type of corrections, forward to the administrator.
No, I would move to approve the meeting minutes of December 9th.
Okay, I'll second. Roll call.
On the motion to approve the minutes, Chair Chan,
Aye.
Chan, aye. Member Johnson.
Aye.
Johnson, aye. Mr. Chairman, there are 2 ayes. And so the minutes are adopted.
I'll call item number 2.
Item 2, adoption of January 13th, 2011 regular meeting minutes.
If there's any corrections, forward it to the administrator.
No, I would move to approve to adopt the January 13th, 2011 regular meeting minutes.
I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Yes, on the motion to adopt the January 13 minutes, Chair Chan.
Aye.
Chan, aye. Member Johnson.
Aye.
Johnson, aye. Mr. Chairman, there are 2 ayes.
Okay, let's go item number 3.
Item 3, hearing on the status of the August 6, 2010 order of determination of Barry Taranto against the Municipal Transportation Board.
Is the MTA board here or Mr. Barry Taranto here? No, so
Chair Chan, I'm wondering if we should continue this because we don't have access to whether or not they contacted Mr. Rustin.
yeah, I think we should move this and table it for the next meeting and get a concession of what the status of the MTA board and if the administrator contacted Mr. Barry Taranto. So we'll move that to the next meeting. Do I have to vote on it? No.
Do you need me to do a roll call on that, or can I just do it without objection?
Yeah, without objection.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, call the item number 4.
Item 4, hearing on the status of the August 28, 2010 order of determination of Thomas Picarello against the SRO task force.
Is the SRO task force here? Okay. And then Mr. Picarello is here too, okay.
Good evening, task force members. Thank you both for showing up tonight. I could report tonight, as I reported to you last month, that since the order of determination, I have not been denied public comment in any way. Regarding the issue of serial emails, I'll leave that to the respondent to reply regarding that. But my recollection being here last month was that this was supposed to go to the full task force. So I'm a little baffled as to why it is back in the Education Committee a second time. It's most frustrating to not have an order of determination, finally come to a conclusion. With that said, I'll just repeat what I just said. I have not been denied public comment at the SRO task force, since your order of determination. Thank you.
Okay, now SRO task force.
Mr. Chairman, Committee Member Johnson, my name is Rosemary Bosque. I'm the Chief Housing Inspector of the Department of Building Inspection, and as of January last month, I became the new chair of the SRO Task Force. So I was not the chair at the time these actions occurred, and this particular meeting in question, I actually had an excused absence. However, I was recently made aware of this action a couple days ago and have reviewed the order of determination in detail, the Sunshine Ordinance code sections, and I am here to tell you that it is the SRO Task Force's desire to comply completely and fully with the Sunshine Ordinance requirements, that I will be watching very carefully to make sure that no illegal and unlawful meetings occur through the use of emails in the future, and that any member of the public will be given the opportunity to comment on each and every item on the agenda. And having said that, I have looked at the agenda and I see some improvements that I will be making. The last item typically on the SRO Task Force agenda generally refers to public comment, and it doesn't talk about it being general public comment on items otherwise that are not on the agenda. So I'll be making some clarification on that to prevent this kind of issue from occurring at future meetings. And we'll be also agendizing this item for discussion to make sure that each and every member is aware on the SRO task force is aware of what the requirements are, so that we can prevent this from happening in the future.
Okay. Any questions from
I
colleagues?
have one question.
Yes.
Is Anne Cronenberg still a member of the SRO task force?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Anne was the chair at the time that she was still in the Department of Public Health, and now is the director of the Department of Emergency Management. And that change occurred at the very end of last year. So she's no longer with DPH, and she's no longer a member. So we'll be updating that on the SRO task force website.
Okay. And then does the SRO task force have the same requirement that the city and county employees do to have sunshine training and sign the document saying you had sunshine training?
I know that the city employees do, and I would have to research. I believe that all the members need to have that, but I will have to check with the city attorney. I know what you're talking about, basically the good government information that's in here, the training that's also online that the city attorney's office provides.
Right.
I will check with the city attorney on that to make sure that if they require that, because there are some members that are not city employees.
Are you all appointed? Is everybody on there appointed?
Yes, we are appointed either by the department head or by the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, because we have to, as an appointed
Yes.
members, we also have to sign something that says that we did the training. If in the future, the Education Outreach and Training Committee also does trainings, if you find that you have groups that you work with, because we have trainings that explain what a passive meeting body is. For example, if you wanted somebody to come together and advise you. So we also do that. It's like how long is it, the PowerPoint presentation?
It's like an hour.
It's like an hour, but we can also adjust it depending, on, you may not get too many requests for documents, but you have plenty of meetings, so we could adjust it to make it more relevant to your group, if that's something that you find as the chair comes into play, in the future when you're, since you're just now taking over.
Right, I'm looking into all the records to make sure that if any of those documents need to be on file with the chair, that I make sure that everybody signs what they need to. And since an order of determination did find that we did violate the Sunshine Ordinance, that is going to be a recommendation that we do have someone come in if staffing at the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force permits to have us come in, and even though we've got an hour-and-a-half meeting, maybe if we could have a 30-minute training session and leave the documents, and so I can make sure that everybody follows what is needed. We're more than happy to do that, and I will be talking with the members of our task force regarding that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then, Mr. Piccarello, do you Do you feel, I'm trying to think of how to ask this. I understand that you feel confident that you have been able to speak at the publicly, but how do you feel about your ability to, I don't want to say monitor, because I know you can't monitor seriatim emails, but how do you feel about your rapport with the task force to try to see if that is something that comes up again?
Yeah, well, first let me say that I know Ms. Bosk, and with her being the new chairperson of the SRO task force, I'm very confident that the SRO task force now will be more open and much more in compliance with the Sunshine Ordinance. Regarding vetting, legislating through emails, which has occurred in the past, I think Ms. Boss' suggestion is well taken, that perhaps somebody from Sunshine Ordinance Task Force could give a presentation regarding those issues. My recollection, though, is after the order of determination, the SRO task force did put on the video that's done by the Ethics Commission, City Attorney's Office, and they played it for an hour and a half. Unfortunately, though, what occurred then was there was no discussion of any of the issues that were given on the video. So it was like, put it on for 40 minutes, shut it off, then go to the next item of the agenda. It would have been helpful, I think, for the task force members to have a discussion about what they just viewed. Again, I'm confident that there'll be more openness, transparency, and hopefully full compliance with the Sunshine Ordinance now because of the new chairperson. But again, if you have the time and you've been invited by the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force to come and give maybe a 15, 20-minute presentation, I think that would be helpful also.
And then how do you, I also, since you're the complainant, I'm not sure how they handle situations when somebody leaves the position after the order of determination. But there was a violation found specifically against Ann Cronenberg,
right,
and that has not necessarily been completed or addressed. How do you feel about that? Do you feel it's something that you would like the task force, the full task force, to address, or?
Yeah, I think if a city employee in the capacity of one agency violates the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, just because he or her gets transferred and probably promoted, right, to another agency, it shouldn't fall between the cracks. You should bring Ms. Cronenberg here and have her explain, excuse me, have her explain what she did or didn't do at the time of my allegation of the Sunshine Ordinance. So when a city employee transfers laterally to another department, that shouldn't be the end of the discussion on that issue. You should follow up, bring her in front of either one of your committees, or bring her in front of the full task force, so that city agencies start taking the Sunshine Ordinance seriously, or more seriously.
A question.
Yes.
Actually, that will be a question for Ms.
Bosk.
Does the previous chair have to, I guess, view or sign that Sunshine Ordinance video? Have to watch?
Yes, and she would as a city employee as well. So I don't have a copy of that because I haven't gotten those records yet. And I'd have to, research that. But yes, she would have to as a city employee.
Okay.
Were you, are you present, let's say, Did you have a discussion with Ms. Cronenberg that you would represent the SRO task force here? Or does she know that you're here? Are you appearing on behalf of her, or is it because you're the chair of the task force?
It's because I am the chair, and because the notice of today's hearing came to our department.
Oh, so
And
you
we
don't know if
send a copy, we did send a copy, a forward of the email from the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force that was sent to us at the Department of Building Inspection to her and her staff person on whether or not they had any information on this. And what we got was the copy of the order of determination. But I have not had, as of yet, had a conversation with her about this.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the question in mind is, can we tell, I guess, the previous chair to come? Do we have?
Well,
and
the violation was originally against
it's
Ann
against a particular person.
Cronenberg, and no one appeared last time without notice. So my preference would be to forward it to the full task force to ask, their opinion of referring it onto ethics, or exactly how that would be handled. Just because, I think I really appreciate that the SRO people came here today, but it's difficult that she didn't, it is a problem that this happened before, and and I think there was a failure to appear once before this too, before the committee. So I think we should refer it to the full.
Okay. So
that I make a motion to refer it back to the task force, the full task force.
And I'll second that. As without objection, right?
Can we do that without objection?
Yeah, I think we could do it without objection.
I have a point of order on item 3. Can we reopen that briefly?
Yes, you may rescind the vote on item 3 and then open it up again for discussion.
Okay. I'll open, let's go item number 3 then.
I recalled as we were having this discussion that the last time on item 3, one of the things we wanted was a signed, Roberta Boomer, the secretary for the MTA, represented that they had a special meeting, and that his name is escaping me, the commissioner, I think it's Commissioner Minneke. He was the one that the violation was against, and Mr. Rustin was going to request a copy of his signed statement that he attended that particular training. Right. So I want to make sure that we get that.
Yeah, I believe well, we could, we'll put a note on that, right? On item number 3.
Yeah,
meeting.
If we could ask Mr. Rustin to request that again, or if he remind him somehow if he did. If I remember, I'll send him an email. And then if you want to do it without objection to, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess without objection. Let's go item number 5.
To continue it?
Yeah, to continue it, right.
Okay, so we'll continue item 3 to the next meeting and request the signed statement.
Right. Without objection.
Okay.
And call it item number 5.
Item 5, outreach presentations. Matthew Smith of SF Weekly to talk about ideas on outreach and improvements.
I guess Matthew Smith is not here, so I got to give him a call for if he could make it into the next meeting. Apparently, I've called Matt Smith to come here to discuss about any out.
We haven't been having public comment.
Oh yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I don't want to speak for Matt Smith, but when the original email came out from Mr. Rustin, he said it was 4 o'clock. So perhaps Matt Smith got the 4 o'clock time for tonight's meeting, But when I looked on the agenda, it said 5 o'clock. But Mr. Rustin sent me back an email saying, you're right, it's 5 o'clock, because somebody needed to schedule it from 4 to 5. But normally you meet at 4 o'clock. His original email regarding tonight's meeting was he advised everybody to 4 o'clock. So perhaps Mr. Smith got the email at 4 o'clock, but not the correction by Mr. Rustin.
I personally emailed him. So,
Oh.
Okay.
And yeah, he told me that he could come if he could get out of his because his deadlines for articles. So I'll have to outreach for next
Okay. We haven't been
for next week.
public comment.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've got public comment.
No,
Okay.
we could do it now.
Okay. Any public comments for items number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? Seeing none. Let's actually we still have to do a follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A follow-up for the March 7th, 2011 Local Homeless Coordinating Board meeting.
So this item is scheduled for March 7th, right? And do we have somebody to go to the local homeless coordination board?
I just got yesterday or the day before, Mr. Rustum emailed the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Last time we were here, I don't mind doing this training, but I haven't done a training with Sue or anybody who is experienced. I didn't do any of the training. So because the local homeless coordinating board gets called all the time to task on the sunshine ordinance, I thought it might be nice for someone with experience to go.
Right. I mean, I haven't actually done one except for it's a very long time ago. Is a presentation, but I was just there to assist, and Sue actually did all the presentations, and
Do we have a equipment for PowerPoint, or do we have to ask them?
we had to ask them because
Just
I remember I forgot what department was that we done a presentation for. They have the equipment already, so I think either we had to bring our own equipment or request a PowerPoint or a projector for that.
were you, and at one of the meetings you were
We can
gonna-
move this to plan another date.
the March 7th?
Yeah.
Well, I think they had given us a date in February and a date in March, and I would hate to move it because I think they're reaching out, trying to have the right thing, do the right thing. And Chris said the March 7th date. So
Yeah, I think March
Yeah.
7th, I am not available. Yeah, March 7th, I am not
What-
available.
what day is March 7th?
Monday.
I think I could probably do it. I just would have to get a little bit of logistics from Mr. Rustum to see what we normally take with us. Maybe Member Cawthon might be able to. Do you think she might be able to?
Because when she did hers, right, she did for the whole presentation, the whole PowerPoint presentation. It doesn't, I mean, she didn't go on a specific, I think wherever the violation was, right, you could go onto a specific area and talk about that. but when Sue did the presentation, she went all out.
Well, I know that the local homeless coordinating board didn't want the full presentation because their meeting's only like 2 hours or something. So Chris had said that they had wanted, something that would fit into their meeting and still allow them to have time. So I could follow up with Chris and Sue Cawthon, and maybe they could advise me
Okay.
on whether they think I'm qualified to go and do this, and what maybe they could help me cut it down to the appropriate
All right.
area. I know it's meetings. They have a lot
Right.
of things to do with meetings in front of Sunshine.
Yes, since the administrator's not here, because I haven't seen the PowerPoint for a long time, so I don't know what's in that PowerPoint. Have you ever received an email on the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I just got it, and I
Okay,
looked at it a
okay.
little bit, but it was the full.
Full thing, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. So, okay, then we'll. Any public comment on item number 5?
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm certain that both of you have much more knowledge regarding the Sunshine Ordinance than the local homeless coordinating board members. What you could do is just, bring a brief outline of the ordinance, and then you can refer the local homeless coordinating board members to the video that's online. And there's even a test. There's a test after
Yes, there is.
the video. It's a 2 or 3 hour video, and then there's a test. So you could encourage them, after your brief presentation with an outline, to look at the video and take the test. If they have other questions, then you give them contact information as to how they can reach one of you. The issue with the local homeless coordinating board, though, is failure of them to show up. If you recall, the last 3 or 4 complaints about the local homeless coordinating board, there's just been no appearance by staff. So perhaps your presence at the local homeless coordinating board would send the right message that when there is a complaint against the local homeless coordinating board, they must comply. Thank you.
Okay. And I got a question. Can we, as EOT, not make, but have the local homeless coordinating board take a test and either, online and have you done the online test before?
A self-assessment test, is that what yeah? If that's what you're referring to.
And in the end of it, right, when you take it, then you get a printout of it, or
Not
either
necessarily.
pass or fail?
No,
No.
it's just a self-assessment one to see how you do. There's no,
Okay.
it's not like a real test.
Isn't that okay? Because the question in mind is can we make them take the tests, and it's almost like how a school class, right? Take the tests and have us evaluate it, and
Well, I don't
see
think
where
there's
you
any. I don't think there's any rule about training. I mean, they're required to take the training and to sign that they've taken the training to be on the board. But I don't think there's a rule about the level of their knowledge. It's just that
Right.
as they come before the task force, they're responsible for knowing the information, and they will be held responsible, especially if they've signed for it. But I don't think there's a way to demand it, although there must be some history of doing the training because that's what the MTA automatically did to comply with that order of determination.
Okay. Let's call item number 6.
Item 6, inviting ethnic media to promote the Sunshine Ordinance.
So basically, I might, for the next meeting, invite the ethnic medias to come and, I guess, get their consensus of what they need for outreach or helping the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force on outreach. And I'll be making phone calls to invite ethnic medias to come. And hopefully within the next meeting, we could get them to come to the EOT. So any questions from my colleagues? Any public comment on item number 6?
It's more of a question than a comment. I mean, does the Sunshine Ordinance have materials in, say, Chinese and Spanish, so that community members that aren't Caucasian are advised of their rights under the Sunshine Ordinance? That's a question.
I think we do. There's one in Cantonese, there's one in Vietnamese, right? And there's one in Spanish. And I have no idea. We have to ask Mr. Rustum that if he have it in other languages.
Okay, but
those 3 languages, I guarantee they have that.
Okay, but I think it's an excellent idea to get other media to do outreach for community members regarding the Sunshine Ordinance and how to get records and open meetings. Yeah, so I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Item number 7.
Mr. Chairman, in terms of item 5, I'm not quite sure what the final action was.
There's no action on that. It's just discussion on.
Oh, just discussion. Okay. And then with item 6, there would also just be discussion.
Yeah, discussions only.
Yeah. Item 7, inviting other cities and counties to discuss sunshine issues.
Okay, so I think this is your.
Yeah, well, one of the things that right now I'm finding is that there's people are, just trying to find out different information about who's responsible for different things. And right now it seems like everyone is concerned about a budget, and not everybody's set up the same way that we are. Like in Oakland, they don't have a special task force. So I don't know how difficult it would be to actually get people here, especially at 4 or 5 o'clock at the times that we're here. But it seems like right now people are concerned about what's going to happen with the budget, what's going to happen with the state budget. So I'm wondering if we, my original intent in doing this was because we were going to make recommendations to the Ethics Commission about enforcement. Right. And we're kind of doing that in compliance. And, I'm wondering if maybe we should try to set up, either hold it a little bit until either I get more concrete responses from people, or if we want to try to turn it into some kind of an event, a forum or something that we could all participate in. Perhaps one of the Board of Supervisors might be interested in helping, or the Guardian, making it something that not just one person would have to present, or some kind of a panel like the Harvey Milk Club, Democratic Club sometimes has. Maybe one of the Democratic clubs might want to do it, and especially in the light of the Julian Assange media interest, and how he's been nominated for a Nobel Prize.
Okay. I know San Jose has a task force just like us, appointed, I think, 15 members, in that board. And I might email probably this month, right, end of this month, when Chinese New Year's over, get in contact with one of the San Jose board member, the Sunshine Orange Task Force board member, and invite them here to talk about their sunshine. And you think that's
you know, maybe I don't. It's kind of like what I've found a little bit. It seems like I haven't had an opportunity to totally delve into it and like make phone calls and be really aggressive. But part of what I find is just like with us, it's hard to get a quorum for our own meetings. Right. So if somebody invited one of us, I'm not sure how long it would take one of us to figure out when we could go. So I kind of got the impression that that's what was happening to them. And then it's in the evening time. So it's, you know, on their own time. But we could certainly, you know, with two people trying it, maybe something will happen.
Okay, let's I guess do that and see what happens. Any public comment on item number 7?
I like the idea of one community talking to another community about their sunshine ordinance or however it's called. You know, the problems they're having enforcing it, I think would be perhaps helpful to this task force. Maybe what you should try to set up is, probably every task force has a chairman, and the chairmans should try to set up a meeting, and it could be on a Saturday, or sort of like a retreat, where any sunshine ordinance task force members that want to appear can show up, and certainly should be open to the public. And there'll be a discussion about the adjoining communities and, you know, what problems they're having and what successes they're having, and that might be helpful information for you in making recommendations for future use while the sunshine ordinance.
Call item number 8.
Item 8, creation of guide for city employees on how to respond to a sunshine request.
Okay, this is Member Johnson's.
Yeah, and of course, we finally have it right on the agenda, and Chris is not here, but I have I didn't write draft on it. I wanted to just give you an idea of what I was thinking. Can I give one of these to you to give to Chris? Maybe you could attach it to this. I have an extra one if you want. It's just a draft. Okay. So when I look around on the task force website, one of the things that I first started researching the other item about having, about how other counties enforce and cities enforce their sunshine ordinance, one of the most common comments I found was that the people responsible for responding to the request were unfamiliar with their responsibilities. So when I started looking around on our website, it seemed as though there was no quick reference kind of a space where you didn't have to plow through this big, long sunshine ordinance text. So I thought that, it might free up Mr. Rustam's time for people asking him questions, and it might help the people who have public information and records to know what to do when somebody makes a request. And I didn't want it to necessarily be an all-inclusive every single thing, but if somebody comes into someone and says, can you, I'm making this request, or they receive an email, it won't, sometimes when we hear complaints at the full task force, that someone will say the email didn't go to the right person. And then it finally gets to the right person, and they don't, the deadline is passed. So if somebody received an email like that and they had kind of a quick reference guide that's kind of like a fax sort of thing, frequently asked questions, it might help them to respond and know what their responsibilities are, and that all of the records are public except those that have a specific exemption. So these were some of the questions that I thought could be on a short, quick reference guide with the answers. They're not in here, but with the answers and the section of the code. And it could, on the task force website, you could have a link to it that's easy for them to access, and then they could click right on the link to that particular section of the ordinance. And this one's just about information, oral information and documents, but you could also do one that has to do with meetings. And I was hoping that I could get some suggestions on it. I know that, I have a longer one that has my notes on it, but I didn't necessarily include all of my notes. I just tried to give you an idea of what I had in mind. And before I worked on it more, I wondered if it was something that you thought was a good idea, if you had other kinds of suggestions, or if...
Because the one thing you mentioned that it's like a small card. It's like a quick reference card that I guess is not so. If you go to a desk of a city worker, right? There's paper all over, and usually it gets misplaced or something. A small little card that they have lying somewhere over there. I think you mentioned that before, right?
Yeah, I was thinking of making it like a half a sheet that's folded, but I would have to know, we would have to figure out what we think is, some of our discussion would have to be around what you think would be important on a quick reference guide, as opposed to, like, for example, you might, if you wanted it to be a small card, you might not have what is the importance of the Sunshine Ordinance on there. You might, that might be something that's more training oriented, and then you could, that might be something that you take off if you think that you want it to be an easier reference. But the point would be that they don't have to look at the legalese of the Sunshine Ordinance in a moment of not knowing, with being confronted with this request. You get the sunshine training, but it's different when it's actually
right
in front of you and happening to you. And the only reason I'd put in the importance of the Sunshine Ordinance is because some of the people that come before the task force make statements that the requesters are wasting their time, or, not respectful of what their real job is.
Because there's a lot of things like, should we put the IDRs and RFQs? I mean, the RFQs and RFPs.
Well, I have a space in here for the IDRs. How long? Well, you can see it's in my notes. How long do I have to respond? And you would include, what is an IDR and you can request an extension of time. I mean, you'd put in there that they have a reasonable time, or 10 days. And then they would have a request for extension time. This is just a draft, not the actual thing. But for example, a quick reference card could never cover the RFPs. I mean, it's just, it's too it's extensive, and but an RFP, we would have to put it, we'd have to make that, I mean, that's a good suggestion. That would come under what records and information are public. So RFPs and RFQs, we'd have to put something about them having very special regulations that need to be carefully reviewed. Because sometimes I feel like the complainants feel that they're getting the,
Or we could put like how Alan Grossman says, right? Instead of what is or what we call it, what is public information, then what is not covered, or what is the opposite,
say what records and information
that
are
are
exempt from disclosure.
Yep, exempt from disclosure. Because from what Alan Grossman says, everything, it's public records.
But I don't even know if it's something that you're interested in. You guys are.
Overall,
kinda-
it looks good. I mean, this will keep all departments ahead. It keeps all departments informed of what to look for or what to give.
So maybe a suggestion is to try to make a small, snappy card.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's easier to say what not to give, because that's a very short short outline or short thing to put. So
Okay.
shall we put this into works, or how shall we do this?
Maybe we could continue it to the next education meeting, and I could make one try to make something, see how hard it is to fit really important pieces of information into something small, and have it be something that could be attached to the agenda, so that the Sunshine Posse could comment on it too.
Oh yeah, we should invite them to comment on this thing, and then
I'll
we'll
try to
put-
make it small. I'll
Okay,
try to have a
okay.
goal of a smaller, not big piece of paper.
Right. And if everything goes well, we'll present it to the full task force.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll continue this to the next.
To go public
Oh,
comment.
public comment first on item number 8.
Thank you. This is excellent. I am very encouraged by the draft. I mean, this would be helpful information to both the complainant and the respondent. I guess, the interesting discussion would be the answers. But I think it's a great idea. There should be a quick reference guide. So, when you go to a local homeless coordinating board or Sunshine Ordinance Task Force that's invited you, you could bring these questions with the answers, and then certainly the public agencies or departments would be that much better educated. I think in a lot of cases, it's not intentional that records are withheld. It's just lack of training and lack of knowledge as to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force and what it provides for people seeking either documents or attending public meetings. So the more information that you could provide city agencies, city departments would go a long way in providing more transparency and therefore accountability. Thank you.
Okay, let's call out item number 9.
Item 9 Creation of a Facebook page.
Okay, so I think we have a little consensus of the full task force agreeing on making a Facebook page, but someone has to.
Well,
Or-
there's a couple, yeah.
Okay.
Well, there was a couple of, I sent DCA 3 an email asking if a Facebook page could potentially be perceived as a meeting. And he did say that, you know, a meeting is, the definition of a meeting can include the use of communication media that could permit a majority of members of a policy body to become aware of an item of business and of the views or positions of other members, and to negotiate a consensus on it without actually calling a meeting and announcing that it's a meeting. And he said one way to potentially limit those kinds of concerns would be to have just one, designate one member to post information on the Facebook page. And I know that Chair Nee, I also do not have a Facebook page anymore, especially since Facebook is now, a significant number of its shares are held by Goldman Sachs. And if you would like for them to have access to your information, by all means do it. I personally took my information off of there. And I know Chair Nee has concerns about it being hacked into, because he presented that as a concern. But the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force is really about the people learning about their government, and everybody is on Facebook. So I have a real, you know, I think that because we're trying to let people know, I feel like it would be an important way for people to find out about the Sunshine Ordinance and the task force, and that they have a remedy, and that these documents are even available. And I think that even in just the small amount of time that I've been on the task force, when somebody has a complaint and they've never been before the task force before, they suddenly realize, wow, I didn't even know all this was here. And since we want to have, you know, one of the goals, I think, when I came here, like with the Sunshine Award, was to get more awareness. I might not want to be on Facebook, but there's tons, you know, almost everybody is. I don't know how you feel about Facebook.
For me, I'm in Facebook. You know, it's a network. You know, I see friends and families, and I get information from Facebook. So, and in history, I guess, history of me being here, we really never got a very good outreach. You know, the awards was a brilliant idea. You know, I think that was a very good idea to just kind of like give the task force some noticeability, to say, hey, we do exist. You know, do you know about Sunshine? And I asked a lot of people, well, what is? I'm in the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, and they'll all say, what's that? So, I mean, anything that could outreach is a good. You know, Facebook, I believe Facebook is an excellent tool for outreach. I mean, that's my opinion, but, you know, that's...
I agree that it is a...
Yeah, and even though we get hacked, right, we could... there's safeguards. I think Facebook have a lot of safeguards on hacking.
Well, my intent there was to put, you know, people could comment on our Facebook page, and we don't necessarily have to, you know, have people can. It is open, although you do have to be a member of Facebook. Although I think, isn't there a way that you can have the page accessible if you're not a member? There used to be, but like it would pop up. You didn't have to sign in, although
you probably Google search it and it'll probably pop up. But
I know SF Usual Suspects used to be able to see it, but I'm not sure if you can now or not. But I didn't ever intend for it to be a place where a hacker would be able to change some kind of information that was really important. I mean, we could post our agendas up there, or Brea is about to have their version of a sunshine ordinance, and we could, post that on there. And I don't know. I would like to see the task force, the full task force, let us make one. It can always be taken down.
Yeah. So, I'm in agreement to that, and I think this is actually a discussion item. Actually, I kind of want to put this as an action item and push it to the full board.
Does it have to be an action item to go to the full board?
Let's ask Ms.
Do you know,
Gore.
Administrator, do you know if something's doesn't say action item on it, are we allowed to send it to our full board?
To be honest, my feeling would be no, but, I really am not familiar with the sunshine procedures at all. But, since it's not really advertised as an action item.
Okay.
know.
So maybe we should put it on as an
we'll
action
put it
item?
we'll put it for the next. Can we put this item to the next? Actually, can we get public comment?
I'll be brief. I know it's getting late. Why do you need Facebook? I mean, you have a website. Your website should be the place to do your outreach. But you need to make your website more friendly, user-friendly. Excuse me. It's difficult to find information on your website. So if you would improve your website, as you're suggesting that you're going to do on Facebook or some other entity, I don't think you need a Facebook. You just need to improve your website, and then you can do your outreach there. I mean, you could have something on Facebook making reference to your website, but you want to bring people back to your website, give them as much information as you possibly can, and then people seeking access for information should click on SF.gov and then Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. Thank you.
Actually, I want to comment on that. Facebook is not a website. It's actually what we call a marketing tool, right? I use Facebook. Actually, I have a Facebook for my company because I have a security company, and how I market my security company is opening a Facebook to get followers, or just like Twitter, right? You get followers to add you as a friend and see what's going on, see what kind of security deals I have, and that's kind of like a marketing tool. And I guess the basis of EOT is to really get outreach, right? To have people know what Sunshine is all about, and by doing that is having a Facebook page where you have, hopefully, you get thousands of friends, right? So they could see what's going on in Sunshine, or they could see what Sunshine is all about.
Or the other friends of friends.
Oh, friends,
who
friends of friends, yeah.
Who see that you like the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force page will say, well, what is that, and why does so-and-so like it, and what do they do?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, and we can't, the task force has no, we have to ask permission to manipulate or change stuff on our website. I mean, we don't really, it's not really our website, although there would be it would be very little in the way of setup for a Facebook page. It would just be, because we don't want it to be a meeting place, or there would just be one person. It would just be like an awareness.
Yeah, that's...
So
Okay.
next time, we could take an action item and perhaps designate a person and
Right.
Some specific things we would start to put on the Facebook page. And then we could send that to the full task force, so that's not just, so they have a specific list.
Right,
We could
right,
create that
okay.
next time.
Okay, we'll do that. Call item number 10, please.
Item 10, public comment for items not listed on the agenda.
So any public comment? Seeing none, we'll go item number 11.
Item 11, committee members' comments, questions, and requests for future agenda items.
Any requests for any future agenda items, except for moving the Facebook to an action item and discuss for the full task force on making one page? Any?
I'm not sure when we will have a meeting after on I think it's the 17th. We have the full task force has a meeting about the revising the sunshine ordinance.
Right.
And I just thought that it might be useful to, it's only you and I here right now, but
Right.
if the individual committees find specific things, like at the task force, we know RFPs come up all the time, so it's something we want to address. So if the committee members, as a committee, want to make a recommendation at the next one after this
Right,
one, we
right,
can't
right,
do it
right.
for now, but
Because the one thing I'm looking at is, of course, changing the name and what, Sunshine Ordinance Task Force to Sunshine Commission. And technically, from what I heard, right, it's supposedly a commission instead of a task force due to it's voter approved.
right. Well, I was just thinking that if the committees could make recommendations that were relevant to their, like that's one I know that's going to come up anyway. But they're like we're the education, outreach, and training. If there's something in the task force ordinance that we think might be
Okay.
relevant to us, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but maybe
Yeah,
we could. I don't know if
can't
that's
think of any
something that
other.
you would want to put on the. You can think about it. Something that you might want to put on the agenda if we have another meeting about the special. If we have another special meeting after the 17th, so like in March, we had on our agenda. Does anybody have any recommendations for the changing of the sunshine ordinance?
Okay.
I don't know. That's it.
Okay. Any public comment in item number 11?
Yeah, if you're that interested in outreach, one of the most effective ways to outreach is to have your proceedings televised. I know there's an expense to that, perhaps $35,000 a year. I think that was the going rate last year. But if you could get your proceedings televised, then I think you would get more people interested in your proceedings, and you'd also educate them by televising your proceedings. So you may want to make that recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. I'm aware of the budget considerations, but actually when responding agencies don't show up, or they do show up, it's costing the city money. That person that shows up at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock is on city payroll. So they are spending money coming here to give a response to a complaint. So you may be saving money by televising the proceedings and therefore getting more compliance with less expense. Thank you.
I think I got a comment on that. I think I tried to ask for that 2-3 years ago, having it televised. It's just there's no money. Just the budget. I mean, I think the Sunshine allocates a certain budget, and I believe we are exceed that budget.
the task force itself has to pay for the televised?
Yes, it does.
So it comes out of that budget.
Out of that budget, and we don't have that budget unless maybe a vote or some type of vote by the supervisors to allocate budget to the task force. I mean, that's all I could think of. Okay, let's end of that. Let's
Move to
move to adjourn. Okay, great. Adjourn.